Hi, I'm Mel,
And I'm Janelle.
and this is the Murder Mamas.
The Murder Mamas.
Welcome.
Welcome.
How are you?
God, I almost said it.
What?
Happy Tuesday.
Yeah. We're back on recording Thursday, so
I know.
it feels better.
It does.
It was weird recording a different day. It just throws everything off.
The daytime,
Yeah.
especially in the daytime.
In the daytime.
This is a nighttime activity.
Yeah. It's like
It's such a routine. It's such a schedule now.
Right?
Like,
Yeah.
I went to leave the house and I was like, bye, kids. And Bo was like, where are you going? He goes, oh, you're going to Mel's.
Yeah.
Like, they know what day of the week it is
Right.
based on whether or not I go to your house.
Exactly.
So when I do it on a Saturday, they're like, whoa, whoa, whoa.
What the fuck just happened?
Something's weird.
Yeah.
What's going on?
Well, Preston won a track award today at his awards ceremony. Yeah. And I was like videotaping the cross country ones because I wasn't sure like if he was going to get an award or not. And so I was just videotaping it, and he didn't end up getting a cross country award. And then the track award came, and I was like, should I videotape that? And I'm like, nah. And then they like totally said like a whole segment, like a minute long thing about Preston and all his achievements, and I was like, well, that fucking sucks. Just missed that whole thing.
Oopsie doodles.
Because like his coach is in the reserves, so like he couldn't be there today. He had to go help in the army or whatever, train. And so there was another coach that was giving out the track awards, and so he wasn't saying much about the kids. Like they were the football kids, you know, like they'd say like what they accomplished and all this, and the track they were just naming names, like because it's not the coach, like it's not the
like
coach.
He doesn't actually know them.
He doesn't
like
know them. Yeah. And so but then the guy was
Your
like,
dog
no,
is so rude.
I think Dad Preston's getting home. Very rude. So then he like was like, no, I need to talk about this kid. And then he went on for like 30 seconds, and I was like, I should have videotaped that.
That's good. I bet that made him feel good.
Yeah. Well, he was like, I should have gotten this one and this. I'm like,
that's
okay. Yeah.
Okay. Well,
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah.
Do you have a trash can?
I do.
Thanks. All right. I don't have anything exciting going on in my life.
Yeah, that's it. That's all I got.
Cool.
Yeah.
Neato. My brain just like turned off. I was going to talk about something, but then I forgot. So,
Okay.
here we are.
Here we are.
Look at us. Who would have thought?
Who would have thunk?
All right. Do we just want to go?
Yeah.
I don't know how long this one's going to be. It's already 8:30.
Okay.
Okay. I'm talking about Leonard Thomas Lake.
Okay.
Does
no,
it ring a bell?
that doesn't ring a bell.
And Charles Ng.
Nope.
They were a duo
No.
of some nasty motherfuckers.
Okay. Sounds good.
We're talking serial killers.
Nice.
I haven't done a serial killer in a long time.
Yeah. Yeah, it's been a while.
We're gonna do some blinking light trigger warnings right now. There's rape, sexual assault, obviously murder, child death.
Sweet. All the good ones.
So it's pretty depraved.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
those are the trigger warnings.
Sounds good.
Before I say anything but a name.
Right.
So you know nothing?
No, I don't think so. I mean, maybe I'll know the story, but it doesn't sound familiar. The names don't sound familiar
heard from
at all.
them. I had not heard about them either in anything I'd listened to. Until I found them like completely somewhere else a few weeks ago.
Yeah, it does ring a bell.
And then I read what they did, and I was like, wow, okay, let's read everything there is about this. And now I'm going to have nightmares. So, you're welcome. All right, ready?
Yep.
Okay, so Leonard Thomas Lake was born October 29th in 1945. He was born in San Francisco, California. He had like a pretty normal childhood for the first few years. His parents divorced when he was 6 years old.
Okay.
5 or 6. Like, it's like the dad left the mom, his mom, as a single mom with like a ton of expenses, right? Now she has 3 kids to take care of. So she leaves her kids with their grandparents to go get her husband back.
Oh.
But, like, doesn't take the kids.
Okay. She was like, oh, hell no. You're coming back.
Yeah. So him and his siblings moved in with his grandparents.
Okay.
It says that he's smart as a child, but, like, some other shit said that he was depraved from the beginning.
Okay.
Like, everything set him up to be who he becomes.
Okay.
Lots of strange behavior.
Okay.
Specifically, sex. Like, he was sex-driven and interested in sex at a very young age.
Oh, okay.
He would take photographs of his sisters naked.
Oh, okay.
It said that his grandma encouraged this behavior.
Oh.
But that's not known if that's like, true.
Okay. Let's hope not.
I really hope not. Then he, like, tries to have sex with his sisters.
Doesn't need to happen.
It's like, some kids are curious.
Right.
That seems like we're supposed to know that, like, your siblings are like...
That's a no.
That's a no. That's
you can be curious with someone else. Like,
yeah, like, that's a hard no.
Yeah, but not with... Yeah. Mm-mm.
So he also began to become, like, obsessed with porn.
No?
And, like, all different kinds of
And
porn.
this is in the 40s?
Or like the 50s.
He was born in the 40s.
He was born in the 40s.
So this is not the 50s.
Like,
okay.
Going up. Also, like, what kind of camera did they have then? I imagine cameras being really expensive in the 50s.
Yeah. I don't know. Like, still shots?
But, like...
Black and white.
I just imagine them being really expensive.
Yeah.
So...
Yeah, I'm not sure. Or maybe...
Was it film?
Magazines?
No, because he was taking pictures of his sisters.
Oh. Yeah, maybe
Was it on
just...
film?
Yeah.
Like, who's developing the film? Who's taking it to be developed? Who's paying for it? I had so many questions about it, and I was like, yeah, you can't get into the logistics of it. Like, you gotta just move on. So he begins to, like, get really obsessed with porn. He does a bunch of, like, animal abuse type stuff, specifically mice. What
the fuck?
Yeah, I mean, that's, like, the number, right? Like, that's, like, the number one...
Yeah.
sign.
Yeah.
That
something's wrong.
Yeah, that, like, maybe things aren't going so good for you. But he would, like, take mice, kill them, and then pour different chemicals on their bodies to experiment with which ones would make them disintegrate and, like,
good.
turn them into ooze. Like, he just was
curious. Okay.
In lots of ways.
Yeah.
Some stuff I read and listened to said that his childhood and, like, his mom leaving was, like, extremely traumatic for him.
I would assume.
He was pulled from, like, crying and pulled from her arms as she left to go find his dad. So it was, like, a very traumatic event for him. It caused him to start to resent, like, women and sort of planted that seed, and then all the pornography stuff.
Yeah.
What are you looking at?
I don't know.
I feel like you're always... I always feel like you're looking at my hair, and it makes me
I think I'm looking at your eyes. I don't know.
It makes me so self-conscious. Like, where?
I'm fucking stoned right now, so I don't know.
This is the story you want to listen to, huh? Like, anyways, you're just like, I'm like, what? What's on my face?
I don't know.
What is that?
I got nothing for you.
So that's, like, his childhood. Yeah. I'm gonna skip.
Okay.
We're jumping to when he's 19 years old.
Okay.
So he joins the Marines after graduating from high school.
Oh.
in 1965. He loved weapons.
Oh, good.
Loved guns. He was convinced that there was going to be a nuclear, Holocaust, basically.
Yeah.
That was going to end the entire world. And so he joined the military to learn what he could about weapons.
Yeah.
Loved it. Did great.
Yeah.
Loved it. 10 out of 10.
10 would recommend.
But also interesting, right?
Yeah.
How many serial killers do this?
Mm-hmm.
Join the military.
They join the military. It's a shit ton of them.
So many of them. He works as a radar electronics technician. He does 2 tours in Vietnam.
No? Okay.
Something I listened to said, he loved wearing, camo. He loved the uniform. He would wear what he called his camis, which is what they call them.
Okay.
In the military. He would wear them for years after he gets out.
So like both.
Yay. I didn't want to make a correlation. Also, he's branching out.
Okay.
We don't wear hard pants, but we wear things besides camo. So
it's good.
Talking about we're going on vacation, and my parents hired a photographer to take a nice family photo with all of us there.
Yeah.
And they rented a private restaurant for it's their 50th wedding. So they want us to wear a certain attire for this family photo. And I'm talking to my sister. I'm I really have the hardest time getting Beau in things that aren't sweatpants. And she's like, maybe if he sees all of his cousins in it. I'm like, girl, this kid has worn camo to school every day for 2 years straight. He doesn't give a shit what other people wear.
He's got his style and he knows what he likes.
He's the king of comfort. That's what I call him.
Good for him.
Oh, Blake is too. I mean, I get it.
They
Jeans suck.
No, jeans. I don't own a pair of jeans. My kids don't own a pair of jeans. Auntie owns jeans. He's like, jeans are great. Everybody loves jeans. I'm like, no. Nobody loves jeans.
Auntie seems like the kind of person who would have house jeans to relax in.
Yeah.
And that's weird.
Yeah, I don't own a pair of jeans. And neither do any of my children.
Yeah.
They refuse.
Jeans suck.
Yep.
Anyways, so he loved camo.
Okay.
Like my young child.
Yes.
He gets diagnosed with schizoid personality disorder and is also said to have impending schizophrenia with hysterical neurosis.
Okay.
While he's in Da Nang, Vietnam.
Yeah. That's scary.
He has a complete breakdown.
Yeah.
While he's there. He gets medically discharged in 1971 and is continued to be obsessed with the nuclear war that he is. It's impending. It's happening. It's coming. I don't think I mentioned it, but he first goes to Vietnam in December of 1965.
Okay.
He doesn't really do very much combat while he's in Vietnam, but says he does.
Yeah.
What's the word? Glorifies?
Glorifies himself.
Yeah.
Okay.
Something I read said his biggest achievement while he was there was getting married.
Okay.
He had a longtime pen pal, I guess.
Okay.
Her name was Karen Lee Minersman. And they get married at some point while he's in Vietnam. Okay. But he is awful to her.
Oh, good.
Yeah. It's his first wife.
Oh, good.
So after he gets discharged, he moves to San Jose area with Karen. And I love when that my brain just is looking for the thought.
Yeah.
He enrolls in San Jose State University, but only for one semester. And then he'd be like, becomes enamored with like the hippie lifestyle. And
so like completely opposite of like guns.
Yeah, and like wants to become a
okay.
hippie.
Okay.
It was said that he did that because he found a way, like this is the same time as like Charles Manson and all of that stuff, and so he sort of found a way to like find women to exploit.
Oh.
He's still married.
Okay.
He forces Karen to become a stripper or like a waitress at a topless bar.
Okay.
She refuses at first, and then he like beats her into doing it. You know.
Wow.
When someone says no, just
beat them.
Beat them. Please don't. He is so controlling. He controlled all the finances. She would make tips, and he would just take all of them. Right. He like wasn't really working, wasn't really contributing, wasn't doing anything, but just controlling everything. Yeah. And then he tries to get them to like start to be like swingers. So she says no initially, but then I guess they do it like one time.
Yeah.
And she's like, this is really not for me. Like, I'm not for this. She says that he has like kinks that are starting to come out as far as like sex.
Yeah.
And she's just like not down. Like, he's starting to get into a lot of like BDSM sort of stuff.
Yeah.
And then he starts producing and filming and directing and like starring in amateur pornography.
Okay.
And she's like, I'm super not down with this. Yeah. I don't want to do this.
I feel like that should be a discussion before that starts if you're in a marriage.
I feel like if you're forcing someone to work at like a titty bar and then you're taking all their tips, you don't really give a shit what they think.
Yeah, that's true.
And you're kind of a piece of shit.
Yeah, he's a huge piece of shit.
So, she leaves him. She's like,
good.
I'm out. We're done. From there, he moves to what's called the Greenfield Ranch, which is like a remote hippie commune in Northern California. He spent his time there trolling for women to have sex with immediately. Like, he just wants to fulfill like this desire, but he's also looking for someone to fulfill like a more long-term desire, which is to have a sex slave.
Okay.
So he's like finding women for now and then like looking at victims that he can have in the future.
Later. Okay.
Yeah. He also calls everything he does an operation, like military-wise.
Right.
Like, it's always an operation.
Yeah. Okay.
Which I think is so cringy.
Yeah, that is cringy.
It's just like...
Yeah.
Okay, bro. Okay. Cool. He takes, like, naked photos of them. He's just, like, a fucking creep, man.
He
like,
sounds like a creep.
I could go on and on. There's, like, pages and pages and pages of him just being, like, a fucking creep. Mm-hmm. He's a creep.
Yeah.
He wants to do freaky shit in the sheets and, like, take pictures of naked women.
Yeah.
And some women are, like, down with it. He finds ways to, like, appeal more to them.
Right.
So he starts selling pot. You know.
Okay. Yeah.
You know.
The devil's drug.
The devil's lettuce.
Lettuce, yeah. That's
to get people to talk to him.
Right.
To, like, lure women in.
Sure.
And then this article I was reading said that he had a goat that was surgically altered to look like a unicorn, which he would take to fairs.
So they, like, put a horn on him?
I believe so. That's what this article said.
Like, super glued it to him? Or?
You know, honestly, not sure. And I didn't look to see if this was a fact that I could source 2 times, but I thought it was so strange that I had to mention it.
Yeah.
So if Courtney Wood, who wrote this article, is correct, wow.
Wow. Okay. Sure.
It wasn't sourced in her article, so not sure.
Okay.
And so he would, like, lure women in with, like, this goat unicorn and selling them weed.
Okay.
And he's like, hey, I got what you want. I got a goat unicorn.
I would totally go.
Some dirt weed because it's 1970. Like,
yeah.
Is this what you want, baby?
Yep.
But it works because this is how he meets his second wife, Carolyn Balaz, who he called Cricket.
Okay.
That was her nickname, and I will refer to her as Cricket from here on out.
Okay.
She would partake in his sexual fantasies and desires.
Okay.
She was like, I'm so down.
Yeah.
Super down.
Good for her. That's her thing.
Yeah. I mean, everyone's got their kink.
Yep.
They brought in other women, which satisfied him, right? She let him satisfy like his need for control.
Right.
They would do BDSM together. They made pornos together. They even made like a fake snuff film.
Oh no! No!
Yeah.
Don't do that. No.
Don't do that. Let's not do that. So, like at some point after him and Cricket meet, they get married like pretty quickly. They immediately hit it off.
Okay.
And then they move to this motel where he gets a job as a manager. And then they just like move in for convenience. Yeah.
That makes sense.
And it's like a little like rural hotel. Something I listened to said that they would like place an ad in the classifieds.
Okay, yeah.
For anyone who's not 1,000 years old, he used to put ads in a part of the newspaper that was called the classifieds.
Yeah.
And you could even look for jobs there.
And cars and
pets, dogs,
washing machines,
everything.
Yeah.
It was like
Facebook Marketplace, but
I was gonna say Craigslist, but I feel like Craigslist is also
that's pretty old too.
It was Craigslist before Craigslist became a thing.
Yeah.
And Craigslist was Facebook Marketplace before Facebook Marketplace became a thing.
Yes.
So
there's always been some sort of way to do that.
To sell things.
Yes.
So that was the classifieds. So they placed a classified ad like looking for help at the motel. I couldn't find it in this article, but it was in something I listened to and I didn't write it down, so I can't remember her name off the top of my head. She responded to this ad and she was like 18 years old. And so she went and she was like living there with them for a few months and then like got really bad vibes and was like, nah, I'm out.
Right.
And then the next person that responded to their ad for help, he was like trying to find an employee, was Charles Chitat Ing.
Okay. A boy or a man?
A man.
Yeah. Sorry.
He was once a boy.
Yes.
Now he's a man.
Man.
He was born 12/24/1960, so he's a lot younger than Leonard. He was Hong Kong is where he was born. He was the son of a wealthy businessman. His father was abusive. He would get beat with like a cane and different things like that. And then there was like emotional abuse where they would like give his pets away and that would that kind of stuff.
Oh my God.
Charles was a huge kleptomaniac. He became very withdrawn from his family after, like, as a young kid. But he was, like, really aggressive and rebellious. His parents sent him to a boarding school in England. And, like, the situation that he lives in there is pretty bad. So bad that his mom finds out that he's, like, living in a room without heat. And then has him come back to Hong Kong.
Yeah.
After he graduates from high school, he moves to San Francisco to live with an aunt and attend college.
Okay.
But then he's like, I don't really like college.
Same. So
he illegally joins the Marines.
Illegally?
Illegally. Because he's not a U.S. citizen.
Oh, okay.
He's a Chinese citizen.
Sure.
Or I think at that time he was like a Britain. Like a Great Britain citizen.
Yeah.
But like Chinese born.
Right.
Hong Kong born. He also loved guns.
Okay.
It's even capitalized with an exclamation point in the notes.
Okay.
Loved them.
Okay.
He says too that the recruiter that, like, recruited him
Yeah.
helped him to falsify his records to join the Marines.
Sweet.
But that could not be substantiated.
Okay.
So, not sure if true.
Right.
But he, again, like, loved the Marines. He loved learning about guns. He was shy, pretty withdrawn, but he made, like, a few friends.
Yeah.
Nothing crazy. Fairly introverted, but, like, excelled in anything that was about, like, artillery, any of it.
Yeah.
Loved it.
Yeah.
He's stationed in Hawaii, and he's, like, working in the armory and finds that there's, like, a window or something that you could, like, open to steal weapons.
Oh.
So he, like, sets up this heist with some other Marines, and they steal $11,000
Oh, shit.
in weapons.
Seriously?
Yeah. From this
Don't they
army.
live, like, on the base? Where are they stealing? Where are they putting it? What are they doing with it?
I'm not sure.
Okay.
I'm not sure. But he, like, sets up this whole heist to
Okay.
steal a bunch of weapons.
Yeah.
So then, obviously, like, they get in trouble. He gets court-martialed by NIS, which is, like, the Navy investigative... The CIA of the Navy.
Right.
He escapes.
Oh.
Yeah. So he, like, gets sentenced to a bunch of these different crimes. Like, it's, like, a whole list
Right.
of, like, burglary, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
But he escapes. And he escapes into the Hawaiian jungle
Okay.
with no food, money, nothing.
Wow.
And then he somehow ends up back in California.
Oh.
Yeah. And, like, gets with a friend who gives him some clothes and, like, $300. He makes his way to that hotel
Yeah.
with Leonard.
Okay.
Because his friend's like, hey, let me introduce you to my other friend. And it's Leonard.
Yeah.
But she's like, how do these people have friends?
Yeah.
I'm like, who's friends with these people?
Right.
Like, what?
Yeah.
Anyways, so that happens, and then, so he's on the run.
Yeah.
From
Obviously. Yeah.
being court-martialed and all of that. And Leonard is like, here, come here, live here. So he moves into the hotel and is working just for room and board. Like, he doesn't give a shit about money. He doesn't care. Him and Leonard immediately hit it off because they
like guns.
There you go. They loved guns. Big conspiracy theorists. They also enjoyed, what is it? Raping women.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Common denominators. That's fun.
So they're fast friends.
Yeah. Okay.
And a prostitute comes forward after, like, they're caught, and she says that she was raped by both of them, and that they grabbed a knife and were stabbing the mattress by her head.
Oh, fun.
Yeah. Lake gets fired from the hotel because there's, like, a bunch of shit that goes on between Cricket and Charles and him, and, like, they're just fucking being weird as shit, and this person's, like, trying to run a business.
Right.
So they're like, yo, you gotta go.
Yeah.
So he gets fired, and they move to a remote area in the woods.
Okay.
In California. They're still in California.
Okay.
During this whole time, while they're working at the hotel and, like, doing all this stuff, they're, like, creating this plan for when the world ends and the nuclear holocaust happens and all of that. And they're, like, amassing all of these weapons that they're getting illegally.
Yeah.
Because they love
guns.
Yes. And the ATF is, like, tracking them.
Wow. Okay.
So the ATF gets the green light to, like, go after them, finds them in this remote area, and charges Leonard, with 17 felony charges.
Nice.
Yeah.
It's a good one.
And they send Charles back to Hawaii. They're like, you gotta finish your fucking sentence, man.
Right.
Like, get out of here. So, I don't know how, but Lake escapes. And he's like, I'm just going to be a fugitive. So he's on the run.
Okay.
He's just out of there.
Yeah.
Charles finishes his, like, sentence. I don't know. It's, like, a year and a half or something.
Oh.
Like, nothing because he gave a bunch of other people up.
Oh.
So he finished... I'm like, what? What is happening?
The 70s, right?
It's the 80s now.
Or 80s, yeah.
Cricket, his wife, is like, I don't want to live the life of a fugitive, so I'm not going to do that. But I love you.
Okay. Yeah.
And so she, like, sees him seldomly, but, like, will not full-time live with him.
Okay.
What I'm trying to say is that she helps him.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
I am of the personal belief that she was well aware of what happens in the next part of this story and might have been accomplice-y.
Yeah, gross. Okay.
If not, I mean, bare minimum complicit with knowledge.
Yeah.
She does not see any jail time, which I find to be pretty upsetting.
Wow, okay.
Based on my belief that she was complicit.
Right.
So, that's all I'm going to say about Cricket.
Okay.
Cricket divorces him in November of 1982.
Okay.
Because he's, again, like, living on the run. How are you getting... What is... Could you imagine living on the run?
Absolutely not.
In this day and age?
No.
Like...
You couldn't.
I would be found so fast.
Yeah, there'd be no way.
You would find me in 2 seconds.
I'd be, like, hiding in the Kroger down the street.
You're
I wouldn't know where to go.
You're second home. You're like, I want to run away. Let's go to Kroger. That's perfect. I can get lost in here for days. They got food, flowers. What else do I need?
Yeah.
A squishmallow maybe for a little pillow. Find a beach towel as a blanket.
Shit.
Charles and Leonard, they link back up after Charles serves his sentence in Hawaii. So he, like, comes back to California. How are they communicating?
It's weird, yeah. Letter by postal service?
Leonard uses a ton of different aliases, as does Charles.
Okay.
But during his time on the run, Leonard finds and becomes obsessed with a book called The Collector. Have you ever heard of it?
I'm going to say no.
Okay. So, The Collector is by John Fowles.
Okay.
And this book really, like, inspired him to want to kidnap and enslave young women to keep as his sex slaves.
Okay.
Like, this, he was a freaky, fucked up dude before, and this book just, like, opened another, peeled back another layer of that freak.
Okay. Sweet.
Maybe I shouldn't use that word. Is that a mean word to say?
I don't care.
Okay.
If you're talking about a sick fuck, it doesn't matter.
I'm just saying, like, I don't mean, like, whatever.
Yeah, I get it.
Whatever. You know what I mean.
We know that.
So The Collector is a book that tells a story of a deranged man who gets a bunch of money and buys property in, like, a rural.
It's a hard word.
It is so hard.
Rural.
I think we've talked about this.
Yeah, we have. Yeah.
Rural drawer.
Yep.
It's all, every time I say that word, it's all I can think of. He buys property there, and he does that to keep the object of his perverse affection captive. The main character purchases a home which he converts into a prison for a young, beautiful college student named Miranda, who he has been following for months. From the initial creepy stalking on the street, the physical conversion of a home into a prison, the undetected kidnapping, and finally the young girl's premature death, the reader is taken on a unique journey into the mind of a man who wants nothing more than to have a slave.
Gross.
Yeah, this is a scenario that most would be and should be repulsed by. But for Leonard, this became a goal.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, so he reads this and he's like, this is my manifesto.
Yeah, like, this is it. This is why I was put on this earth.
Yeah. And that's exactly what he does.
Hmm.
So while Charles is away, Leonard converts a piece of isolated property into a holding cell for his slave girls, which he calls his M ladies.
Okay. Why?
Because Miranda.
Oh, Miranda. Okay.
Mm-hmm. This whole thing is Operation Miranda.
Oh, okay. Right.
Because it's all an operation.
Yeah.
So fucking cringy.
Yeah.
So cringy. He converted rooms in his ex-wife's cabin.
Okay.
So it's like the place where her fugitive ex-husband is living.
Right.
Is her cabin.
Okay.
But she had no idea.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
So he converts rooms there to serve his desires. He has a 2-room bunker built on the property for the purpose of enslavement.
Mm-hmm.
One room was used as a torture chamber, complete with tools and chains that would later be used to inflict horrendous amounts of pain and agony upon his victims. And the other was a soundproof holding cell that contained a bed, a chemical toilet, and a list of instructions on how the slave was to prepare herself to serve her new masters.
Oh, barf.
It's such like, ugh.
Yeah.
Just like, what are you?
Yeah,
like,
that's horrible.
It's awful. It's fucking awful. This list was posted in plain sight and included these instructions. Ready? Quote unquote. I must be ready to service my master. I must be clean, brushed, and made up with my cell neat. I must never speak unless spoken to. Unless in bed, I must never look my master in the eye, but must keep my eye downcast. I must never show my disrespect, either verbally or silent. I would not last long.
No, I was just going to say I'm a hard pass on this one.
Like, I would be dead so fast. Like, the second where they're like, don't show your disrespect, and my face goes,
fuck you.
Like this. Like, it's done.
Yeah.
I must never cross my arms or legs in front of my body or clench my fist, and unless eating, must always keep my lips parted.
What?
I must be obedient completely, and in all things I must obey immediately and without question or comment. I must always be quiet when locked in my cell. I must remember and obey any additional rules told to me. Like, I like how it's like, this list is not inclusive of all of your duties. It's like,
wow.
Okay. I must understand that and disobedience, any pain, trouble, or annoyance caused by me to my master will be grounds for punishment.
Okay.
End quote.
Wow.
That's like a lot.
That's a lot to take in.
And it's like, ugh. It's like the kind of thing that like makes me want to gag.
Yeah.
It's so cringe. Like, it's just the ramblings of like someone who thinks they're so important
and smart, and yeah.
And it's like, you're such a fucking loser.
Mm-hmm.
What do you have?
Yep.
I don't even have the words. Like, you're a man who wears camo and likes gun. Like,
right. You're nothing special.
You're the least special, I might argue.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Charles returns and like everything's ready for him. Okay. And he's back and it's like, this is our time. And they get 2 real life Mirandas.
Okay.
Almost immediately.
Wow.
On June, so I'm going to skip forward and I'm going to talk about how they got captured.
Okay.
Because like the way that the police find all of the victims and like link them to these crimes is fucking wild.
Okay.
So that's in 1982-ish.
Okay.
Like 82, 83. No.
Oh.
When Charles reunites with him.
Oh, okay.
Is like late 82, early 83.
Okay.
June 2nd, 1985, Charles and Leonard. I was going to say Blake. I was like, no, that's not it. Lake. Leonard, they go to a hardware store and it's fucking wild, Mel. You've never heard this?
I don't think so. It doesn't ring a bell.
It's wild. So the police get a call that like there's not a robbery, but like shoplifting in progress.
Okay.
And the shoplifter is Charles, who I said was a kleptomaniac.
Right.
So he's never able to help himself.
Right.
He gets a table vise, which is like a clamp.
Okay.
Something or other.
Yeah.
And he leaves the store, puts the table vise into a car.
Okay.
And then runs. Just like...
So it doesn't take it with him. It just puts it in a car and then takes off.
Runs.
Okay.
So the police come and the people at the store are like, oh, it's like he threw it in this car here.
Right. It's right there.
And so then the police are like, okay, let's look in this car.
Right.
So while they're doing that, they find a gun with like a silencer on it, which is illegal at that time. I think it's still illegal.
It should be.
I don't know. I don't know the laws here.
I don't know.
And then Leonard comes to the car and he's like, I paid for that. Like, I paid for what my friend was taking. Like, you guys don't need to be here. Nothing needs to be, like, none of this needs to be happening. Right. None of this.
Yeah, goodbye.
Bye. Like, and the police are like, this is kind of weird. The police discovered the illegal silencer, so then they arrest Leonard and take him in for questioning. So while they take him in, they like put him in an interrogation room, which I'm like, this seems weird. Like, wouldn't you just charge him for like having a gun with a silencer? There's like something in here I swear to God I'm allergic to. I can feel myself having like an allergic reaction.
Really?
Right, yeah. My nose is getting stuffy in my throat. Well, so I guess like because Charles ran, they like want to know information about him.
For sure.
And also like, what do you have this gun for? So they put him in an interrogation room. And the cop that gets called to this scene, he's only been on the street for like a year. He's like a brand new cop.
Yeah.
He actually does a pretty good job.
Okay.
So they put him in this interrogation room. They leave and they're like, do you need anything? And he's like, I'll write some stuff down for you guys. I need like a pen, a piece of paper, and a cup of water.
Okay.
So they like get him those things and then like sort of leave him. And then a few minutes later, he is on the floor, like convulsing.
Okay.
And they're like, is this a seizure? Like, they have no idea. They're like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Well, the paper, they like don't find the name of the shoplifter. He doesn't say that. This is what he writes. Dear Lynn, I love you and forgive you. Freedom is better than all else. I'm sorry, Mom, Patty, and all. I'm sorry for all the trouble. Love, Leonard. Okay. So he's completely unconscious, like falls into a coma. They take him to the hospital and he's like brain dead. So his autopsy reveals that he had ingested cyanide. Oh. A lethal poison that he just carried around with him at all times. Oh. He told everyone, like, I do bad shit, and if anyone ever catches me, I will kill myself with cyanide. I will not go to jail. Yeah. I will not. And that's what he did. That's exactly what he did.
Holy shit.
So.
Can you just buy that shit? You can't just buy that right now.
Not now. This was 1982.
Yeah.
85.
Okay.
So the autopsy like showed that he had a bunch of cyanide in his system. So it worked. And obviously.
Right.
But they said that it was in a gel tab, which takes about 20 minutes for, like, your digestion or whatever to, like,
absorb
unleash the contents of the inside of the gel. And they suspected that he took the cyanide before even approaching the cops.
Oh, okay.
So, like, he wasn't even going to try and talk his way out of it. Like, he was done. He knew he was going to die. But he seriously would carry cyanide and, like, tell everyone.
That's really weird.
All the time. He had it on him.
Yeah, that's weird.
They have, like, nothing to go on. They have this person who got arrested because of shoplifting and having a silencer and then decided to kill themselves with cyanide. And, like, nothing else.
Yeah.
And they're like,
it's weird.
This is fucking weird. Like, why would you do that?
Yeah.
So then they run the plates on the car.
Yeah.
And the plates have been changed. The car comes back to, like, someone who's been declared missing.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And then it, like, it's like they peel back and it's like another thing. And they just, like, continue to, like, find more and more and more. And then they just find, like, what they call the boneyard. And I'm like, imagine responding to a call for someone shoplifting, like, a, I don't know, $20 item and ending up catching, like, one of, like, a serial killing pair.
Yeah, right.
It's fucking nuts.
That's insane.
It's, like, the most dumb luck that they stopped.
For sure.
It's all because the guy wanted to fucking steal something.
Yeah.
It's fucking crazy. It's crazy to me. And he just dips out. He just leaves. No, he leaves so far he gets to Canada.
Holy shit. Seriously?
Yes. Yes.
Oh my god. Okay.
I'm excited. I should be excited. So, they go to the vehicle. They found that the car belonged to the person that Leonard claimed to be. So he had given the cops, like, a fake name.
Right.
And that person was a San Francisco man who had been missing for 7 months named Paul Costner.
Okay.
In the car were unshot bullets and an unpaid electric bill in Cricket's name.
Oh, okay.
So, like, why?
Yeah.
Why would your electric bill...
Right. Be in her name.
Yeah. Forensic officers discovered that there was a bullet hole in the visor of the car, as well as traces of blood that had since been cleaned, suggesting that the owner was shot in his own car.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. With all of the troubling discoveries, a warrant for Charles's arrest was issued. So they're able to figure out, like, who he is from that. And they're while trying to get any information on Charles, the officers decide to speak to Leonard's mother. They arrive at her home and they're shocked to see who?
Leonard?
Cricket.
Oh, Cricket.
Leonard's dead.
Oh, yeah.
Cricket there.
Okay.
So they learn there that she's the ex-wife of Leonard, obviously.
Yeah.
And that the electric bill was for the cabin.
Okay.
So now they're like, okay.
Yeah.
Now we gotta check out this cabin.
Right.
She actually asked them, like, or the cops ask if she'll take them to the cabin. And she says no.
Oh, okay.
I'm too busy.
Right. Yeah. I can't be bothered.
I'm too busy. And they're like, okay, we're going to go grab a warrant.
Right. Be right back.
You cannot go to the cabin and do anything at the cabin because, like, we think some shit went down at this cabin.
Right.
And she's like, okay. So they, like, she says that she'll take them tomorrow or whenever it's convenient for her. But, like, you cannot go to the cabin.
Right.
And she's like, okay. They go the next morning, and the first thing they notice is that there was a cinder block structure, like, right next to the cabin, which is that torture dungeon. Cricket refused to let officers search it, saying it was merely a bomb shelter and would not help them in any way.
Okay. Do they have a search warrant, though?
No, I was wrong.
Oh,
they didn't have a search warrant at this point. They, like, were being, like, nice to her.
Right, okay.
And they also don't really have, like, anything to go off of at that point. So, I misspoke.
Okay.
Thanks for calling me out.
You're welcome. Anytime.
But, like, she so knows what goes on in there.
Right, for sure.
If she didn't know, she would be like, okay, guys,
yeah,
sure. Like,
do whatever you need to do. I don't
it's
know.
a fucking bomb shelter.
Right.
Like, here, go take a look at it.
Go for it.
You know?
Yeah.
Okay. And then before the police can even enter the cabin, guess what she tells them?
What?
That her and Leonard's mother came up to the cabin in the middle of the night to clean the place up.
Oh, how thoughtful.
Didn't you just agree with the police that you would not do that thing?
Yeah.
So why did you do that thing?
So she knows. Yeah.
And so does the fucking mom.
Yeah.
They both.
That's horrible.
They both should have been charged with something.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know what the charge is.
No, but I'm sure
lawyer.
they could have been charged with something. Yeah.
She claims that she was embarrassed with how messy it was.
Oh, yeah.
You know.
It happens.
And she's like more suspicious going forward. Sorry. This wasn't an official search. They didn't have enough evidence yet. The police are like trying not to piss her off basically because like at this point she's sort of helping them.
Right.
And they like don't want to have that completely go away before having the opportunity to look at everything they can.
Right.
They search the cabin where they find holes drilled into the headboard and footboard of the bed where straps were added.
Oh.
They find some video equipment, and that when they found that, Cricket gets really nervous.
I bet she does.
She said they find that and she's like, we're done. You guys gotta go.
Right.
Like, you've seen enough.
Yeah.
There's nothing here. Bye.
Bye.
And they're like, I don't know. One officer there, he noticed that this equipment matched the description of equipment belonging to a family who had disappeared a year earlier.
Oh, shit.
So then they, like, pulled that, matched the serial numbers.
Right.
And they found that this video equipment belonged to the Dubs family, who, again, had been missing for a year. It's a husband, a wife, and a baby. Which, like, good job.
Yeah.
One officer.
Right.
He probably, like, worked that case. It's a tiny area. This county is, like, super... It's rural. So it's, like, really small.
Right.
Because it matched that description, or it matched that serial number, now they had enough information to get a warrant.
Okay.
So they get the warrant. And they enter the bunker, and they see, like, pictures of a bunch of naked women on the walls.
Gross.
A tremendously tiny room with a bed. The instructions. But, like, they don't find, like, there's no people there. There's no, like, dead bodies. Like, they don't really find much else. Except for, like, a bunch of freaky shit.
Right.
Which they find, it just creates, like, more questions. They go outside the premises of the, like, the surrounding area of the cabin, and they find, like, a bunch of personal items, belts, watches. They find his journal, like Lake's journal.
Okay.
A bunch of burn sites, which look what looked like bone fragments in them.
Okay.
Yeah. Vehicles belonging to a couple of Lake's neighbors, and a plastic barrel with a VHS tape inside. So they find...
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Once they're... Like, they find out that it's human bones, so then everything's a crime scene.
Right.
And the second day of the search, the officers gather around to watch that VHS tape, which is simply labeled... Are you ready?
Mm-hmm.
M-Ladies. They watch Leonard and Charles torture two defenseless women who were Kathleen Allen and Brenda O'Connor. The tape is the, like, number one thing in the trial of Charles.
Okay.
They had to go through so many remains because it's like all fragments and stuff. They had to identify everyone. Like, I want to say, this sounds crazy, but I want to say that they found, like, during the trial of Charles, there was like 2 tons of evidence.
Holy shit.
Yeah. Like,
oh my god.
That's so much evidence. Because of the way that they disposed of the bodies, it's hard to know how people actually died.
Sure.
The thought is that Leonard would poison or strangle them before they would set them on fire. They knew for certain that Leonard and Charles were responsible for the deaths of, ready? Donald Lake, Charles Gunner, Randy Jacobson, Robin Scott Stapley, Harvey Dubbs, Deborah Dubbs, Baby Sean Dubbs, Paul Costner, Cliff Parendo, Jeff Gerald, Kathleen Allen, Lonnie Bond, Brenda O'Connor, and infant Lonnie Bond Jr.
So they killed men and women. It just wasn't... That's weird.
And babies.
And babies.
2 babies.
Yeah, that's horrible.
So, like, Lonnie Bond, Brenda O'Connor, and Lonnie Bond Jr., they were a family.
Right.
The Dubbs were a family as well.
Right.
They would kill them and then... Yeah.
That's horrible.
Yeah. So Donald Lake, who is Lake's own brother, he was killed in 1982 for financial gain.
Okay.
It's not surprising that Lake killed Donald as he had a long life history of disdain for him, claiming that he was a parasite on society for collecting disability payments from the state.
Okay.
They did not speak. Leonard showed up at his home to make up with him and to take him to fill out job applications. This, like, delighted everyone that they were talking again.
Okay.
And then he kills him. And kills him and then collects his disability checks.
Nice.
Yeah. So this is just a rundown of, like, all of the victims and how they died and what happened. Ready? It's going to be a lot. I mean, it's a lot of victims. Charles Gunner. Gunner was a longtime friend of Lake's who was killed for financial gain. Unbeknownst to Charles, Lake hated his supposed best friend and constantly spoke ill of him to others.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. He's just, like, such a bad dude, right? Like, how do you have a best friend?
Yeah.
It's so fucked up to me. Lake took issue with Gunner's obesity and the fact that he received government checks. He hated how Gunner abused his daughters. After much thought, Lake decided to kill Charles, take custody of his daughters, and collect his assistance checks. Okay. Once the man Lake dubbed was a waste of life was dead, he received temporary custody of Gunner's girls and actually took great care of them. It would not be long before Lake turned the girls over to a family friend of Gunner and resumed his plans, which was to kill other people.
Okay. That's weird.
Yeah. He's such a weird fucking dude.
Yeah, that's a weird... yeah.
The Dubbs family. The entire Dubbs family would go missing seemingly without a trace after an ad was placed in a newspaper by Harvey Dubbs wanting to rent out his video equipment. All that would be left behind was the indication of a suspicious timely departure and neighbors' testimony about 2 strange men coming in and out of the Dubbs apartment. Since there was very little conclusive evidence left behind, police were left with the difficult task of recreating that fateful night. So they say, the police say that after they get into the house, Harvey, the men used Sean Dubs to keep the baby. That's the baby. To keep Deborah quiet while they waited for Harvey to come home. So I guess, Harvey returned home and they got him to agree to take off his shoes and be tied up with a telephone cord to save, basically saying, like, we'll save your kid's life.
Right.
If you do this.
Yeah.
The neighbors tell police that they saw an Asian man leave holding a baby, but they did not know if it was still alive. Given the nature of the crimes, it is most likely that they killed this family so they would have uninterrupted access to their apartment to steal their property easier.
Yeah.
While in jail, Charles says that they were strangled, but there's no way to know for sure. It's pretty fucked up. Like, this is a very brief overview. The baby specifically is really terrible. Harvey Dubs, though, the father of this family, he kept, like, meticulous records about his video equipment, which ultimately really helps.
Yeah.
Because it's what sort of catches them.
Yeah.
You know? The next ones I'm going to talk about are Kathleen Allen and Mike Carroll. 18-year-old Kathleen Allen was working at a convenience store when she received a strange call that her boyfriend Mike Carroll's life was in danger. What they did not tell her was that he was already dead.
Oh, good.
Yeah. So she gets a call at work. She picks it up, and, like, the videos I watched had, like, her supervisor talking at the trial. So she's like, oh, okay. And then she's like, I have to go. Like, my boyfriend's been shot in Tahoe.
Okay.
Yeah. And, like, he's sending a friend to come pick me up.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So the friend is them. And they, like, she gets into this car. And then she, like, never returns back to work. But the work gets a typed letter from her saying, like, I found work in Tahoe and I quit.
Wow. Okay. Sure.
Yeah. So she's also one of the M girls. So there's, like, videos of her. Yeah. So her boyfriend, though, like, had used drugs previously, so she, like, was like, maybe he's like, didn't raise any red flags for her, is what I'm trying to say.
Okay.
They get to the cabin and Lake videotapes the last days of her life. This tape is like a time, like, it's bad. You can see Leonard explaining to Kathleen that her boyfriend, who Charles knew from serving time together, owed them some money, and she was taken to pay off the debt.
Okay.
She was forced to make an impossible decision, either stay there roughly 30 days to pay off the debt, or the two men would tie her down, rape her, shoot her, and bury her next to her boyfriend.
Wow.
She agrees to stay there for 30 days.
Wow.
The men informed her that while under their control, she would clean, cook, and fuck for them.
Wow.
With little emotion, she acknowledges that she understood the conditions and was forced to strip so they could, quote-unquote, see what they bought.
Wow.
Before she was to take a shower with Charles, while the young woman took off her clothes, viewers can see Charles being extremely excited about showering with her.
Gross.
Throughout her ordeal, she seems numb and willing to cooperate with them.
Yeah.
There's, like, sadness in her eyes.
Sure.
Like, she knows, you know, like, it's almost like she knows that she's gonna die.
Right.
Like, she knows that this is it. And even agreeing is...
Right.
She knows.
Yeah.
They didn't film her death. It was, like, really hard to watch. I read the transcript of this film, and it was, like, the toy box stuff. Like, it's just fucking
Yeah.
Nasty, and yeah. She's forced to give, like, Charles a massage naked, and, like, it's just bad. Like, you can just see them dehumanizing her and all that stuff.
Not cool.
So the next one is Paul Costner, and on November 2nd, 1984, he was scheduled to have a date with his girlfriend Marilyn, who lived in the same apartment building. He misses their date without any explanation, and she goes looking for him and discovered that his car's missing.
Yeah, okay.
Which is the one that they were driving.
Right.
She calls the cops, who did not help.
Of course.
He's a grown adult. He can do whatever he wants.
Yep.
Until she says his car's missing.
Right.
They finally responded. The first thing they did was look into the weird guy who answered Costner's ad for a bronze 1980 Honda Prelude.
Oh, okay.
The weird guy was them. So this is their MO. Mm-hmm. They answer these before Craigslist classified ads.
Right.
And then they just kill them.
Right.
For whatever gain.
Yeah.
The next one is Clifford Parento. There's not a lot about him. You just know that he's a co-worker of Charles, and he dies on Christmas. Mm-hmm. And Charles later says that that Leonard shot Clifford, burned the body, and planned to spread his bones around the property. But that's kind of all you know.
Okay.
The next one is Jeff Gerald. He was a co-worker who angered Charles by taking a week off from work without being penalized.
Okay.
Yeah. He was dropped off at his apartment after rehearsal and was scheduled to meet the next day to audition bass players for his band. Charles called the apartment twice and spoke to Jeff's roommate. The third time he called, Charles finally got a hold of Jeff and offered him money to help him move. When Gerald's roommate came home, he discovered Jeff was missing along with all of his guitars and amps. Nothing else is known about what really happened to him.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. The next one is Robin Scott Stapley. Robin Scott Stapley lived in San Diego with his girlfriend and worked for the Guardian Angels, a group who tried to protect innocent people from crimes. In his spare time, he was a photographer. He dropped off some equipment to a shop to be picked up later. And we would know that Leonard is the one who picks up the equipment.
Okay.
His body is found in a green sleeping bag next to Lonnie Bond. He was tied up and gagged with bullet wounds in his body and mouth.
Wow.
Experts determined that right before he died, he swallowed teeth fragments, which cut his vocal cords.
Ugh.
It's a sentence I never thought I would read and or say out loud.
Right.
The next is Randy Jacobson. Jacobson's body was found on the property. It was encased in lime.
Okay.
They discovered he died from ingesting cyanide. His was the only body that was encased in lime to speed up the decomposition process.
Okay.
We have the next three, which are Brenda O'Connor, Lonnie Bond, and Lonnie Bond Jr. Brenda O'Connor was the second woman on the tapes. Mm-hmm. She was his former neighbor. So what we know about this is that they killed Lonnie Bond and their infant son, Lonnie Bond Jr., quickly and kept her alive to torture her. Mm-hmm. They film a lot of her last days.
Oh, wow.
Brenda's last days. Mm-hmm. There's the entire time she's on camera, Leonard is telling her how much he hates her, how her baby was given to a barren family. It basically saying, like, we took your baby and we gave it to someone who, like, couldn't have kids.
Wow, okay.
But not that the baby was dead.
Dead, yeah, okay.
He seems to, like, really, like, is, like, disgusted by her.
Okay.
Which I don't really understand why.
Yeah.
She, like, has this, I don't know how to describe it. There's, like, a point in her torture where she's like telling him like, this room is really hot and like I'm getting dizzy, like I'm nauseous, I feel like I'm gonna vomit. And he's like, if you vomit, you're gonna have to clean it up. Like, it's just like really shitty.
Yeah.
And like, and she's like, I think I'm gonna pass out. And he's like, if you pass out, we're just gonna wake you back up. Like,
wow.
There's no getting out of this. It's really bad. Charles cuts her clothes off with a knife, while Leonard is telling her that nothing is hers anymore and that she completely belonged to them. They see her, like, she's being really defiant, and she's just saying, like, can I just see my baby? And they're like, that's all she says the entire time.
Yeah.
It's like, can I see my baby? Can I see my baby? They obviously say no, but like meanly.
Right.
Lonnie Bond was found in a sleeping bag with a ball gag in his mouth, handcuffs on his wrist, and a bullet wound in his head.
Oh.
They analyzed the wound was... They analyzed his wound. Jesus Christ. And they said that the gun was put in his mouth. And that the bullet shattered his teeth, leaving the possibility of using dental records impossible.
Wow.
Charles later testifies that Leonard held the baby between his legs and twisted his head.
Oh my God. Wow. Yeah, that's fucked up.
Okay. Get it together. I've had to listen to that so many times,
That's
and like
so
I
rough.
knew it was coming. I really didn't want to say it.
Yeah, that's really bad.
So there's like all this evidence that's piling up. They're finding all these bodies. Like they're finding everything, but you know who they can't find? Charles.
Oh,
He's gone.
oh good.
The police bring Cricket in for questioning, and she only agreed to talk to them. She's like, the only way I'll talk is if you grant me immunity from any future prosecution.
Wow, okay.
Like, why?
Yeah.
Why would you need that?
Yeah.
This point is used pretty heavily once they catch Charles by his defense team to sort of say, like, he didn't do anything.
Right.
She did.
Right.
Because she made herself look so guilty. Which, like, I agree.
Yeah.
You look guilty as fuck if the first thing you say is, like, I won't say shit until I know that I will not be prosecuted for anything.
Yeah.
Like,
100% guilty.
Yeah. She is interrogated. She says that she has no idea where Charles is, that she was not involved in any of the murders. She did say to the police, though, that, like, if Charles would be anywhere, it would probably be in Chicago. Like, that's what he said he would do.
Okay. Sure.
Sure. Visiting his sister.
Okay.
Which is exactly what he did.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So it seems like she knew that.
Right.
Without knowing.
Maybe.
That.
Yeah. Yeah.
But, like, they also kind of talked a lot about, like, what they would do if they got caught, right? Like, Leonard would constantly be like, if I get caught, I'm taking cyanide. And I carry my cyanide in my pocket. And I keep it in a fake tooth. And, like, all these weird random things.
Right.
So, like, I could see them having a conversation. Like, if I ever get caught, like, I'm going to go to my sister's. And then from Chicago, I'm going to go over to Canada.
Right.
Like,
that makes sense.
I could kind of, like, see that being a conversation.
Yeah.
But I also fucking hate her.
Yeah.
And I think she knew.
No, for sure.
Yeah. Charles gets to Canada. And I don't know a lot about Canada, so, like, forgive me. I don't know a lot about the locations or anything.
Right.
But he survives by, like, making shelters. I'm so sorry. It's so late. Oh my god, it's already 10.
Yeah.
This is long. Oh my god. There's so much more to it.
Really?
Yes. It never ends. So he makes shelters and, like, in parks, and one of them is turned into authorities. And then Charles does the dumbest thing he could possibly do. And what do you think it is he did? He gets caught shoplifting.
Oh, yeah.
Again.
What a dumbass.
Like,
yeah.
Yo, dude, you've got to stop.
Right.
But, like, there's a manhunt for him in the U.S. Like, the FBI's after him, the police, like, everyone's after him. And this motherfucker is in Canada and gets caught by, like, mall security.
Wow, what a dipshit.
Good job, mall security.
Right.
He shoots them, and the guy still holds on to him.
Oh, shit.
And keeps him there until, mall security is who gets him.
Yeah.
So, I'm going to try to go really quick for the rest of this. It's getting late. Like, there's a shootout. The guy gets shot in the hand, but, like, is able to hold on to him until the police get there.
That's awesome.
And, the Canadian government decides that they're going to make him serve time for his crimes in Canada before they even extradite him.
Okay.
So he has, like, 4.5 years that he has to serve in Canada before he can be extradited to California to be tried.
Okay.
He spends this 4.5 years learning everything he can about the U.S. justice system. Judicial system.
Yep.
He finds out that he can just, like, slow shit down by being like, I want to be appointed a new lawyer.
Right.
And then everything has to, like, restart. The fucking trial for him takes 12 years. 13 years or something like that.
No.
Yeah. I mean, okay, the first 4 are, like, whatever, because he's in Canada.
Yeah.
But, like, the rest of it is literally him halting things over
there needs to be a limit on that.
And over again.
Yeah, that's ridiculous.
He, like, petitioned for better food, shorter ride from his holding cell to the courthouse. Just kept, like, trying to prolong things.
Right.
With the intention of, like, hoping that by prolonging things, the prosecution would be able to make less of a case.
Right.
Which to me doesn't make a ton of sense because, like, you're giving them more time to keep building a case.
Right.
But I watched something with this prosecutor, and he said, like, they're a tiny office because it's a tiny little county.
Right.
So there's, like, 5 people. There's him, an assistant DA, like, 3 other ones, and, like, 2 investigators, and, like, a fucking admin.
Yeah.
So it's, like, a very tiny law firm.
Right.
Like, maybe not able to handle this, especially after, like, so many years and all this stuff.
Yeah.
But, like, they do a really good job.
That's good.
So, I mean, but, like, they, like, send him to the courthouse and, like, put him into a cage almost because he keeps trying, like, they're afraid he's gonna, like, run away and shit. And he, like, petitions against that. Like, it's a whole bunch of stuff. There's, like, so much. But we've been talking about these people for way too long. So he's really, what he's trying to do is trying to reduce the death sentence. Like, he doesn't want to be put to death.
Right.
So he thinks that by, like, delaying, he can get out of it.
Sure.
I don't know.
Yeah.
He runs out of his delays, and a trial is finally set. So it's set to begin, but he, like, his new lawyers petition for more time to prepare because he had fired them. And that adds another 2.5 years.
Wow. Okay.
To the proceedings.
Jesus.
So 3 years would go by, 3.5 years would go by before the trial would officially begin. Once it begins, he becomes enraged and screaming. Like, he's just awful.
Yeah.
They put a device around him, like a stun belt, around his waist to ensure that, like, if he gets loud, it's a fucking, like, shot collar.
Nice.
for a grown adult person.
Good.
It was like, it's bad, but the prosecution doesn't have any heart. Like, everything they have is circumstantial.
Right.
So they use like inmate testimony of him bragging about the murders to people in jail. They play like strategic scenes from the tapes that showed him being an equal participant. But the two most damning pieces of evidence were the like testimony of a police informant and a unique typewriter found in his apartment.
Yeah.
So the informer says that like when he was serving time, they talked frequently about their crimes, and Charles drew him comics about what he did to his victims.
Ew.
There's like stuff that he knew which was never released to the public. They would say that his past means that he's not credible.
Right.
So it's like a whole bunch of back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. Anyways, so like it kind of seems like Charles might be able to like get off.
Jesus. Yeah.
And then he demands that he be able to testify.
Oh God, no.
Against, and his defender is like, you shouldn't do this. And he does it.
Wow.
And he gets caught in his own lie.
Good.
And this is kind of like what gets him. So the jury had a really hard time deciding like the outcome. And they were like, it was really hard. They had to move the trial from like where they were to Santa Barbara. Like it was a whole fucking thing. It was a lot. Anyways, they finally convict him and he's on death row to this day at San Quentin. Also, they used Lake's journal as a lot of evidence against Charles.
Yeah.
And that's it. That's about that. That's all I'm gonna say about these two motherfuckers.
Wow, piece of shit.
Yeah. Two of the worst people.
And when, like, it just sucks when, like, two of the worst people come together and they find each other and then they just make it even more, like, you know, like, there's just some people that are not meant to meet or they shouldn't.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's horrible.
Yeah.
Well, good job.
Yep. They also said that there was probably a lot more victims. So.
Wow. Okay.
But those are the ones that we know about.
Wow. Alrighty.
Bye.
Bye. Thanks for listening. You can find us on Instagram at
The Murder Mamas,
Facebook,
The M Mamas,
Twitter,
The Murder Mamas,
email,
themurdermamas@gmail.com.
and if you like us and are happy with our content, please leave us a review and a 5-star rating. We would appreciate it. Bye.